to my channel, and today is the first installment of a show review. Um, and I'm speaking about Lovecraft Country. So I was going to be content with just being a simple observer and enjoyer of the show and just be entertained. But this episode 7, titled I Am, was just freaking amazing. It was so amazing and had such an effect on me that I was like, I gotta get in on the conversation. Like, I have to get in on this. Like, it was just inspiring, uplifting, just everything. It was exciting. It was thought provoking. I just loved everything about it. So, of course, before I get started, huge, juicy spoiler alerts all throughout. So, if you have not seen the episode, or if you care about having things not be ruined, then go ahead and click off, come back and holla at your girl after you've seen it. But yes, Lovecraft Country. So I'm jumping into episode 7, and we're just going to see where this goes. So we start off with our characters. We start off with Hippolyta, and Dee. And they have pulled up on the big mansion that we saw get burned to the ground a couple of episodes earlier. Because Hippolyta, she is clearly not satisfied with the answers that Atticus and Lady have given her as to what truly happened to George. But she's like, you know what? She's too intelligent, way too inquisitive. So she decided to take things into her own hands. So she goes and visits the mansion, and she picks up some items from the debris that let her know that, hey, George was here before he was killed or before he passed away. So she knows she's on the right track. I really love that, because the last time we saw Hippolyta, she was really struggling trying to get the space planet. I think it's an Aurum or an Aureus, an Aurum. I can't think of the word right now. And she finally decides, but she just finally was like giving up. Like, she's apologizing to like George, and Spirit was like, man, I tried. I'm so sorry. And she like gets on the bed, and she kind of like lays back, and she's like upside down, and she has the planetarium thing in her view, and she's like, this is it. I have to turn the planets on their axis, the degree that they rotate on in actual space. And lo and behold, she does that. She figures it out, and she's such a smart cookie, Miss Hippolyta. You just have to love it. And then it opens up, and at the top of it, the top globe opens, and if you notice, there's like a symbol on the top of the top globe or planet or sun or whatever that represents. I guess it must be the sun. One of the pieces of debris she picked up at the mansion, it matched that same symbol. And you know, Lovecraft Country is heavy on the symbolism, giving you kind of like, you know, foreshadowing to different things, whatever. So just something to note. And then there's this phrase that is written on the inside of that piece of the planetarium thing. And I'm going to put that phrase up here. I cannot remember it by heart, but I will reference it. And then it opens up, and there's a key. So she's like, okay. And so she automatically knows, like, hey, I got to get to this observatory. And so she is like peeling out. She's like, let me go get Dee a babysitter. And I'm loving the community love and support. She goes and she grabs Ruby and gets Ruby to babysit Dee while she goes out of town to this observatory. And so, you know, Dee's kind of in a little bit of a funk, you know, her daughter, because, you know, she's still dealing with the fact of her dad being gone. And, you know, they had a little ritual when they would leave on trips, where they would, you know, Dee would like give a comic, and they would like have a little, you know, say a little thing, but she just like wasn't in the mood. She was like, what's the point, Mom? Like, you know, bye, see you when you get back, sort of deal, whatever. And so Ruby's like, don't worry, we're gonna have like, you know, a little slumber party type deal, and I'm gonna cook and have games. It's gonna be all good, you know. And so then Letty and Atticus come up, you know, because they are like, they just realized, they're like, hey, you know, they needed a ride. And because they need to go visit one of Atticus's relatives who could give them like the next key or clue into what they're trying to do. Because rewind back to what Atticus and Letty have been doing this whole time, while with it simultaneously while Hippolyta was doing what she was doing. They went to go visit Montrose, Atticus's dad, just to get more information about Atticus's mom's side of the family, because his mom's side of the family is also really connected here, you know, and I believe to like Hannah and, you know, just other information, the book of names, so on and so forth. So they go and they get the surprise of a lifetime. Atticus's male boo, you know, is coming out. They're kind of like, you know, having a little tiff. You know, Atticus coming out with his shirt all unbuttoned. You know what I'm saying? Looking like y'all, ooh, we caught y'all in a compromising moment situation. And so then instantly Atticus is like, what old dude said a couple episodes ago, it's true. Like, he just goes ahead and drops the F-bomb and was like, you're a fag, you know, boom. And then, you know, of course, Montrose, you know, he just goes ham like, I'm still your daddy. Don't you call me no names, you know, whatever. They get crazy in the hallway. I'm like, ooh, I know them neighbors just got them ears pressed to the door, honey, trying to get the scoop and the tea. But anyway, so they have it out, and he's like, you know, what are you doing here? And blah, 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 you know, kind of wanted them to leave and like whatever. But Atticus stood his ground in all his anger and all this revelation of just his father's treatment of him, and you know how his father's been lying to him all these years. And his Atticus's first thought, he's like, you know, no, I'm not leaving yet. Excuse me. He goes, no, I'm not leaving. He goes, did mom know about this? And that's a loving, beautiful son, right? You gotta love the love that sons have for their mothers. He's like, did mom know about this? And then Montrose tells him, yes, she did. And it's just kind of like, this confirms a couple of things for us, because in the previous episodes, especially episode 2, they alluded to Atticus's dad and Uncle George having a thing, like a real love, romance, and feelings towards each other, you know. And it's been rumored and kind of like throwing little cookie crumbs that Atticus might actually be George's son and not Montrose's. So, I mean, there are people who are not living in their truth can still have children. So it doesn't necessarily give us 100% that George is his dad, but pretty much can confirm that Atticus's mom was finding solace in George, while her husband Montrose was not living in his truth and being on the down low and hiding in whatever else. Like, he locked the doors to the closet. He was not coming out. He was gonna come out dragging, kicking and screaming. But anyway, so they have that blow up, and Atticus just runs downstairs, and he's just like on 110. And so Letty's still with him, and she's kind of like, you know, she's like, okay, I feel where you at right now. Like, I know we're like fresh off of this intense moment, but we gotta stay focused. Like, you can process this later. But you know, Atticus is going through, I mean, she didn't say any of that, but she's just kind of looking up like, how do I approach him right now when he's on 100, but we still kind of gotta like get to where we need to go. But you know, Atticus has his few words, because Letty said, she was like, I still asked him, and I forget where they said that Atticus is, Ethel, I think, was a cousin to his mother or something like that. And she was like, you know, he told me whatever, talk about Montrose told her where they needed to go or where she lived or whatever, where do they need to go to the next step. So she told him that, and then he was like, okay, great. You know, he's still in his intense moment, which, I mean, it's a big revelation. And he has this moment where like, he's recalling how his father used to intensely beat him and say, I'm gonna beat the softness out of you, you know, that basically saying that's why he was beating him so hard, when it's so intensely sad that he was really taking out on Atticus what he viewed in himself to be something that he was ashamed of. You're projecting this beating onto Atticus because that's really how you feel about yourself. Lots of people do that, Montrose. Lots of people do that. So it was cool that they shed the spotlight on that. And Atticus said that he told himself as a child while he would be getting these beatings, or I guess after after all of this, violence would happen to him as a child, that he told himself that his father did it because he loved him. Like, how twisted and crazy and just super uber sad is that he had to tell himself that to help him understand why his father was being so abusive towards him. He was like, he didn't love me. It was all about him this whole time. He's coming to those realizations, big, huge revelations, and, emotional breakthroughs and stuff for Atticus. I mean, not in a good way, but it needed to be known, and it's helping him put his pieces together. So anyway, him and Lady realized, they need a car to be able to go and visit Atticus's relatives. So this is where them and Hippolyta meet up, and Atticus is like, oh, we wanted to know if we could, borrow the car. They called it some name, I can't remember. And she's like, basically Hippolyta looked like, do it look like you can borrow the car? Like, I'm in the car, I'm about to pull out. Like, heck no, you can't borrow the car. And they like, oh, but we really need. She was like, I really need it, and she tries to say that she's gonna go do some errands for the paper that they write, the Safe Negro Traveling Guide, I believe it's called, something similar to that. And Atticus was like basically saying, we already did that, you don't really need to do that. She was like, well, did George put you in charge? How you know? Basically saying, how you know what need to be done? I'm the head on this. You ain't gotta. So basically, Hippolyta said, mind your business, and peeled out. She ran a stop sign and everything. She wasn't playing with y'all. She was like, I gotta go. A destiny awaits. And so Atticus was like, okay, he was gonna jump on the bus or whatever. And then him and Lady were supposed to go together, but then Letty saw her sister Ruby kind of sitting in the, sitting in the window. She decided, like, let me stay here and kind of, smooth things over with Ruby and apologize and just, make things right, because they had not, the last time they spoke with each other, they had a big blowout. It wasn't a good time. So Atticus was like, okay, cool. You stay and handle your business. I'll go handle, here with my family. I'll go handle there with my family. So Letty goes in and, gives a really heartfelt apology to Ruby. And, Ruby just cool as a polar bear on an ice cap eating a popsicle. She had her shades on, sitting in the windowsill. She just like listening, like, But again, Letty was very heartfelt with this. So, and I feel that Ruby felt that. And so Letty just came out saying, she was like, I never, I never could be or wanted to be a hustler like Mom, but I was trying to hustle you, and that wasn't right, And for that, I am truly sorry. And then, Ruby thought about it. And she was like, out of all of the years of my mother's life, she never once apologized. So I guess you and her may not be the same after all. Which is basically saying, like, okay, girl, apology accepted. I receive your words. I receive your apology. Let's move forward. You my sister. So then they show the kids downstairs, with Dee, they're like playing some game. And one of the kids mentions, like, man, I wish Bobo was here because he really know how to play. Or I can't wait till Bobo get back because he really know how to play. So already trying to get prepared for this, because as most of us know, the first appearance of Bobo was in episode 3 with like the whole haunted house deal, and they were playing with the Ouija board, and Bobo, the little boy, Bobo, they asked a question about his trip, and the Ouija board said, like, you're not going to have a good time. Like, no. I think he might have just said, I'm going to have a good time. It's going to be a good trip. And then the Ouija board was like, no. And we now know, most of us, that Bobo is Emmett Till. So, because Bobo was Emmett Till's nickname. But anyhow, just another quick reference. So I'm guessing that maybe he's gone on his trip by now. Which is really, is like really, like the whole Emmett Till story is like a huge trigger for me. Like, just one of those stories that of a part of our Black history that's just like, whoo, heavy. You know what I mean? I like how clever and creative they are to intertwine it into this story. So I love that. I love that creative piece. But we best get prepared, y'all, because I think they're gonna have like a whole episode dedicated to that portion of the storyline, or at least a large portion of it. So anyway. So then, Ruby is cooking in the kitchen, and Letty goes in there, and she's cooking up something, and Ruby's like, "Don't be asking. You better not ask me. Is the food ready yet?" Da, da, da. So Letty goes up to smell it, and then she kind of gets a little sick, like, has a reaction like, And then Ruby's like, "What? You love garlic?" And she was like, then Letty's like, "Maybe I'm developing some weird allergic reaction to garlic." And she was like, "Either that or you pregnant." And I was like, oh. I also forgot to mention the part about the dreams. So go back to when Letty and Atticus first come into contact with each other in this episode. They hug and everything, and they do both end up bringing up a dream. Letty had a dream about Hannah, Atticus's ancestor, but she was pregnant in her dream, and then she saw Hannah in the doorway, all the flames in the mansion, holding a book, and they surmise that it's the book of names. And Atticus is like, "Why are we having the same dream?" Oh no, Letty is like, "Why are we having the same dream?" But of course, Atticus didn't see Letty being pregnant. He just saw himself kind of surrounded by the flames and everything. And then Atticus just says, "I just believe Hannah's trying to send us a message, But Letty got the message where she was pregnant, and now we have people making reference in the real world to her possibly being pregnant. So I think that's pretty much confirmed now, Anyhow, so Letty goes upstairs, and I guess just to kind of get some air, open the window, and then she notices I am not saying the name of this thing right, the Aureus, the planetary representation piece, with all the planets on it. She realizes that it's there and it's glowing. It's still lit up from when Hippolyta cracked the code and figured it out. So she instantly calls Atticus and was like, "Oh my God, it's been here the whole time." Clearly Hippolyta knows that we were not, that you guys did not tell her the truth about George. And I'm sure that she has gone to this observatory. She is in clear and present danger. So Atticus, he takes off because he goes, takes off to go where Hippolyta is to help her. Because again, they're like, she's in danger if she's going to figure this thing out, trying to find this observatory. So we cut to Hippolyta. She's in the observatory. It's like this big, clunky, old, weird machine. And so Hippolyta is a freaking complete genius. She's like working out all these codes. She got like E equals MC squared flying all around in her head, and working out all of these complex codes, and it not chemistry, but what's the other? Physics. Like there seems like so many physics codes flying through her head and everything. And so she puts two and two together, and here we have like two racist white cops, but like just about everybody was like, look, how, like what? 9 out of 10 white people you ran into back then was racist, so it's almost implied. Especially they were on the police force. Ugh. But anyway, so they come down, and it's so weird because it's like, really, y'all gonna come down right now looking at this old busted, dusted machine, and they're kind of complaining like, we don't know why they like us to come check on this thing. It doesn't even work, blah, 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 blah. So she's got it, the machine is popping, it's lit up, it's whizzing, buzzing, nuts and bolts rocking, so she runs and kind of trying to like hides like behind this little thing, and they find her like almost instantly, like right away. And they put a gun on her, and they're like, "What you doing here?" And she was like, "I was just passing by, just passing through." They like, "Stop, don't you lie to me." She was like, "I'm just passing." It was like, "You lying, don't you lie? How did you turn this thing on?" And I'm like, "Because I'm smart. That's why." That's what I said. But that's not what she said. I'm sure she would have got jab slapped or whatever had she said something like that. But anyway, they just so rough. They rough with us now, so they was really reckless back then. They just start manhandling her, pulling gun on her. One of them, then Atticus finally comes down in the saint nick of time. Okay, Atticus flies on the steps, and he starts molly-whopping, putting them paws on these police, trying to defend Hippolyta. And then Hippolyta gets a hold to one of the policeman's guns and she shoots one of them. Bye bye. And then the other one is like tussling with Atticus, and there's like a portal that's opening from the machine responding to, machine responding, and one of the police falls through the portal. Okay. And what I feel like they should have done is the policeman who they shot, they should have picked him up and threw him through the portal too, because no evidence, no body, no crime. Period. You watch enough crime shows, you figure that out. No body, no crime. But again, it's a lot going on. We got portals open, and we just got done with a gunfight. Hippolyta just killed someone. It was a lot. So Hippolyta falls through the portal. They're standing like ridiculously close to it. I don't know if they both mesmerized or what. So Hippolyta falls through the portal, and then Atticus falls through the portal. But we don't follow Atticus. The story follows Hippolyta. So it's just like this whole like space portal thing she falls through. And then it looks like she ends up on like a black planet, literally. Shout out to the old school Black Planet. But no, anyway, a black planet, there's like this kind of, figure that looks like some outer space like structure or whatever. So then it's like these two tall black robot type looking things come out. They get her and then they take her into, this structure. And then we have, she wakes up, she's like completely naked. I mean, tatas and all, which I'm like, y'all showing tatas out here, and we still have yet to see Atticus in all his glory. Come on, HBO, don't leave us hanging. But no, anyway, JK. But anyhow, so she puts there's a little jumpsuit next to her. She puts that on, and so she realizes on her wrist there's some kind of like, I don't know, just like weird little markings that, I mean, it's more than a marking. It looks like something that's been put in her wrist, and it's all lit up, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. So then again, super smart, ridiculous Cookie, she figures out how to open the door from just mulling over again all of her smarts and past experiences and everything. She opens, I'm sorry, I forgot. When she first put her clothes on and stood up, we have this most psychedelic, amazing black woman come through the door with like this life-size afro. Like, she would have created Afro Envy back in the 70s. Like, she would have even bought, like, our girl Angela Davis would have had to give her shouts out, The afro was just humongous. It kind of reminds me of this little fraud family. This is so off the topic, but there's this family that was like making up lies about some kind of hair cream that grew their hair so big and long, and their afros were like that long, y'all. I'm gonna find a picture of them and put it up here. It ended up being like not true, but they had made like some money and stuff. People really think their hair grew that big and long. But anyway, she comes to the door, and Hippolyta's like, what's going on, where am I, da, da, da. And let me out of here, blah, blah. And so the lady tells her, which is so cool, her name is Beyond Say, and say as in French, C''EST, which say means it is, or translate to it is. But Beyond is her first name, and Say is her, I guess, last name. So a play on words. That's Beyonce, clearly Beyonce, which I love a good shout out to B. So that was really cool. And the Beyonce tells her, you're not a prisoner here, And so anyway, fast forward a little bit. She goes, just say who you are. Like, who are you? What is it that you want? Thinking of your wildest desire. So Hippolyta's like, girl, shut up. Like, what are you talking about? Because she's like, just let me out of here with all this mess you talking about. And then she just like decided, like, whatever, let me play the game. And she goes, I want to be dancing on stage with Josephine Baker or whatever, back in France or something like that. Instantly gets teleported to, bam, what do you know, on stage with the amazing Josephine Baker. Like, Love Josephine Baker. Remember reading about her, learning about her back in school. Just a fantastic, uh, prolific person from back in those times. And so she's on stage, and of course, she's all, she's got the outfit on, the lights have hit her. She is just like, okay, what is going on? And they're in the middle of a dance routine, and she is like jacking the whole stuff up. Like, and so there's other girls like, girl, come on, get it together, and blah, blah, blah. So we get to see a little bit of Josephine perform on stage with them. And at the end, they like take off their tops, and Hippolyta leaves hers on and is just kind of looking at them like, okay. And the other girl's just like, stupid Americans. Like, they need to stop choosing Americans to be, basically be a part of our crew, our clique, our dance crew, because, we stars over here. So anyhow, they go back into the dressing room, and Josephine Baker says to Hippolyta, it's okay. We all have those performances, but basically just get it together by tomorrow. And so Hippolyta is just completely mesmerized, because it's obviously Josephine Baker is somebody she has idolized as well. So anyway, then they cut to the next day or whatever. Just fast forward, she's got it all together. She's embraced the whole culture, the fabulousness, the stardom of their dance troupe, the drinking, the little bit of drugs, and just kind of the free love vibe that they had. She kind of indulged a little bit in that. And then we get a quick shot, which I thought was really cool, of Frida Kahlo. Like, it's just cool how they throw little history, really dope references, whether they're legit or true or not. We love the historic nods to the strong women and stuff. Gotta love that. So Frida Kahlo was like backstage with them. She did like a little toast and stuff. So super dope. And so then Josephine Baker and Hippolyta, they have a little quick little powwow. And so, Josephine Baker, she's like, Hippolyta, blah, blah, blah. And so they start to talk. And so then, oh yeah, I wanted to share with you, because they kind of like have a heart to heart, because Hippolyta noticed Josephine kind of has like a wistful look in her eye, and and Hippolyta was like, I know that look in your eye, and da da da. And basically Josephine Baker says, she goes back to saying, she says something like, sometimes I just really feel like a star. And, Hippolyta was like, you are a star. She was like, no, not like a Hollywood star, like a celestial star. She was like, I feel, what did she say? I feel magnificent. I feel ancient. And all of that. And I was just like, I don't know, but I was just kind of felt like the writers were like expressing that, like, that's how Black people are, period. You know what I'm saying? Kind of mythical, magnificent, ancient, like just all of that. She's like, I'm talking about beyond that, an actual star, which is really kind of deep and profound if you think about it. And then Hippolyta begins to express like what she's going through, as far as like, all of her transformation and her time that she's been enjoying there. And I want to find that, let me find that really quick, because I really loved what she was saying. Okay, so this is what Hippolyta says to Josephine, just about, what she's experienced. And she's kind of thinking back, and she says, all those years I thought I had everything I ever wanted, only to come here and discover that all I ever was the exact kind of Negro woman white folks wanted me to be. I feel like they just found a smart way to lynch me without me noticing a noose. I feel like they just found a smart way to lynch me without me noticing a noose. Sometimes I want to kill white folks. And it's not just them. I hate me for letting them make me feel small. And do you know how deep this is right now, y'all? Like, oh my God. Like, this is just like beyond deep right now. Like, because that's a big part of just being Black in America. Is we've had to assimilate so much just to fit in, and we've held our head. We just think about slavery and the civil rights. It's just like, everything we've had to do to like get them to accept us and not kill us. And it's just like, who would we be if we were able to live in all of our glory? Just kind of like the conversation that Christina had with Ruby. Like, who would you be if you weren't interrupted on episode 5? And that makes me think that if we were just here and we were in good living conditions where we didn't have to worry about getting pulled over by the police and racism, or, you know, just being looked at and stared at like we're, you know, creatures or whatever. Like, if we were able to thrive, what will we all be? I feel like we would be truly amazing and a lot farther than we are right now. But just a theory. But so then Hippolyta starts to say, I am Hippolyta. And she says, I'm angry. And so Josephine Baker says, what are you going to do with all that anger? Boom. Our girl is transported again to another time where it's like these Black Amazonian warriors. And so if you remember, like I said, the last thing she was like, I want to kill white people. So she ends up in what is known as the Black Amazons, the Dahomey tribe of warriors. And they play the show places them where they were fighting French soldiers. So she got to kill up a lot of white people. So she got to get that anger out. And so when she first gets dropped there, there's the lead, which is more than likely Nawi, which was the last living Dahomey tribe warrior, was giving them basically a pep talk and just telling them, you know, they've wanted to keep us quiet. They wanted to make us feel like our anger was out of place. And, you know, they just want us to cook their food and be domestic, but blah, blah, blah. But basically the Dahomey tribe wanted to cultivate, you know, that anger and that aggression into them being warriors. So they praised those emotions, those feelings, which is really dope and really cool. Like, it's, you know, kind of like, you know, I Am Woman, hear me roar for real on another level, on a femininity, a feminism, and all of that to like the 100th power, which is really cool. So Hippolyta eventually gets basically knighted, if you will, by the queen after, you know, training, and she, you know, gets to fight, kill up some white folks. You know, she gets to get that aggression out, which was her desire, which was what she wanted. But it was just so beautiful to see her strong in all her glory and fighting along other beautiful Black women and warriors. And then she was like, I want to be George's wife. And so she gets teleported back into the 1950s, you know, and in her vision, you know, George is still alive and with her. And so she, you know, she's kind of telling him about her fantastical journey she's been on, and how, you know, basically alternate experiences and dimensions are actually real and blah, blah. So George is kind of like soaking it all in. And then she kind of has like a little revelation moment, and she's like, you know, all my life I realized, you know, that I've been shrinking, you know what I'm saying? Basically not living up to her greatest, her potential. And then she just got really 1000 with George and was like, you let me shrink. You know what I mean? Like, you also had a hand in me shrinking. And at first he was like, well, no, I mean, you never told me you felt like this, blah, blah, blah. And then he had a revelationary moment. And he was like, you know what? You're right. Basically saying, I saw the, you know, discoverer in you, and, you know, that spark and that light. And he was like, I never cultivated that, or I never, you know, talked about that or brought it up, because I just wanted to have you as my wife and have my children. I wanted you, basically saying I wanted you for myself. And he, you know, apologized. He was like, I did, you know, assist in you shrinking. Like, I didn't, basically, I guess, challenge you to be better or do more. I just thought that was so profound, y'all. Like, how many of us are not like living in our desired life, dreams and goals, you know, because we're shrinking, and then we have mates who, you know, just kind of go with the status quo, may not really see the light in us, you know, to kind of, I don't know, just bring out the best in us. And so then George goes, you know what? Right now in this moment, I see you. And, you know, that's such a statement of validation these days. You know, people really want people to see them. You know, you want people to see your light, you know, and to see your, you know, just your gifts, your talents, all of that. So just a really beautiful moment. Like, I loved it. And so then her and George, they kind of go into outer space. They go to another dimension. She's like, I am Hippolyta. I'm a discoverer. But she takes George with her. And they go and discover all of these beautiful, fantastical things in outer space, different life forms and plant forms and everything, So super dope moment. And so then we got Beyonce. So that goes away. That vision or that trip, that goes away. And then she's back floating into just gorgeous outer space, beautiful purples and stars and blues everywhere. And Beyonce is there and she's like, now that you know who you are, you've decided who you want to be and who you are, we can basically let you in our tribe, our community, of, whatever dope Black Planet outer space thing they had. And Hippolyta is like, she's just like, oh, I just never, knew it could be this way and blah, blah, blah. She's just spinning around in space, having the time of her life. It's a cute moment. And she was like, man, how could I ever go back knowing how much I am and how much I could be? How can I ever go back, basically saying, to freaking 1950s Chicago? And, she's like, I'm way bigger than that now, But then she thinks about her daughter, little D. She goes, but Dee's little and she needs me. So she ultimately decides to go back to 1950s Chicago so she could still be a mother to her daughter Dee. And so then she gets swept back into where she left off. So she flies back through the portal, and then Atticus flies back through the portal. So we have absolutely no idea what adventures or experiences Atticus had simultaneously while Hippolyta was gone. So I don't even know if they're going to touch on that. And Atticus doesn't seem to be too concerned with it. He just jumps out and sees like, okay, there's the murder scene. The guy's still dead over there, blah, blah, blah. So he grabs up a Lovecraft Country book and then something else. And I think he takes the key to the machine and peels out. And then the camera pans to the dead police officer has a copy of Hippolyta's daughter's comic that she draws called Orinthia Blue. And so I was like, doggone it, how the hell did this copy of Orinthia Blue get up under this officer's arm? Because I'm like, are they going to use that to be able to locate who killed this officer? I hope not. Hopefully detective skills really sucked back then. But anyhow, two things I forgot. When Hippolyta was on the road to the observatory, she crossed a Black woman on a bicycle. At first I thought it was like some racist white person driving up beside. I was like, oh Lord, here we go. But it was a Black woman on a bicycle, and she had on like something that looked like a captain's hat. It may have been an Air Force hat. I'm not sure what the emblem was, but I put the picture up. And they just kind of smiled at each other, and then Hippolyta looked at her kind of like in awe and like, just like amazing, like, hey, wow, hello, whatever. And then she did look over on the side. She saw in her little lunch bag that her daughter did put in the copy of Orinthia Blue, which is a part of their ritual where she would, give them a new comic to take with them on their travels to read. And so she had a quick moment like, okay, my baby ain't completely engulfed in despair from her father being gone. She still loves me. We're still keeping the rituals going. So that was a beautiful moment too. And there's another moment that I forgot. Oh yeah, at the very beginning. I'm so sorry. At the very beginning, Ruby and Christina have their little come to Jesus moment where this is like pan to right after the last episode. It's revealed that Christina has been posing as William. And so Ruby gets to confront her like, this whole time you've been Christina and you've been pretending to be William. She sees the dead bodies with like literally the blood drained out of them. She was like, did you kill them? She was like, no, they were already dead. Like, I just used their blood for potions. So I'm like, you supposed to just be like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, girl, you still sound crazy. But anyway, so then she was like, because they had sex with each other when Christina was posing as William in William's body. And basically Christina is like, well, it may have been William's, mouth or face, but it was my words. Like, I still meant every word I said and blah, blah. So I was just like, okay, I guess that's supposed to help her find some comfort in knowing she's been totally hoodwinked and bamboozled. But anyhow, Ruby demands that she tell her everything. And so that's what I'm sure they go. I'm sure Christina kind of goes into telling her everything about all the everything, the order and the magic. But let's fast forward to when both Ruby and Letty were in the house together. I'm like, I wonder, neither one of them are going to come out and say that they're literally having these adventures separate apart from each other with the same family, you know, the Braithwaite family with Christina. But I'm like, when is it going to come out that they're like both experiencing all this supernatural stuff, but not really sharing it with each other, you know? But Ruby was peeking through the door when Letitia or Letty was calling Atticus, looking at the little planetarium thing. She was peeking through the door and heard her say, "Oh, Hippolyta's in danger. If she blah 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 blah." So maybe, hopefully, they're gonna come together and realize, let's just all kind of like join up, squad up, be squaggos out here and get this thing taken care of. So anyway, that is basically the gist of the episode. It was absolutely amazing. Oh yeah, one last thing. There was a poem that was playing in the background when Hippolyta, I believe it was when Hippolyta and Josephine Baker were kind of interacting with each other. And it's basically talking about how Black people are mythical. Like, we don't even exist because they don't even give us basic rights. You know, they don't even treat us like people, so we're really a myth. And even the reader or the author of it was just saying, I'm not real, I don't exist, you know, because I'm Black and I'm clearly a myth because I'm not receiving the rights that I should be as a human being, as a person. So just this whole episode was so dope and so deep and so fantastical and amazing. And I always just feel like they're subliminally talking to Black people and giving us like encouraging words and insight. And I just want to leave you with a little bit of information about the two words "I am." Like, it's thought in the biblical sense of being words of creation, words of manifesting. And in the Bible, the term "I am" relating to God appears over 300 times in the Bible. First in the book of Genesis 15:1 and last in Revelation 22:16. This has led to the biblical God sometimes being referred to as the great I am. And there's actually like 7 phrases of "I am" and everything, but it's just really cool because when it comes to trying to manifest things in your life, just leave you with this quick word. "I am" are two of the most powerful words in any language because the words we say after them shapes, controls, and creates our lives. This is the article that I'm reading on Google. What is this? amaranhanek.com. Yeah. It says, the words "I am," whether thought or spoken, are the release of your power of intent, power of thought, and power of belief into the universe. Meaning, when you say the words "I am," followed by your goal or desire, you are saying to the universe, this is what I want. This is the energy you are putting into the universe. Whatever words are said after "I am" defines who we think we are. And that is what we experience in our life. So if your self-talk includes a running commentary that you're unlovable, you will be given situations in your life to continuously reinforce those thoughts time after time. So it's important to practice the power of mindfulness whenever you say the words "I am" and follow them with positive words describing who you are, or what you want to be. And I just think that's very poignant and a good place to leave out on for this. But I feel that definitely was the overarching central theme, the central theme, I should say, of this whole episode. And it clearly just lines up with just the basic manifestational power of those two words. And we just saw that represented with Hippolyta. She kept reaffirming who she was, and it instantly came to be. So again, totally inspiring, a beautiful episode. I hope you all loved it too. So chime in. I want to hear from you guys. Thank you for listening, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.